Welcome to Atlantic Television Network Society Watch. This is a program where we ventilate societal issues, give them aggregate attention with a view to provide solutions that will benefit humanity. On today's Society Watch, we'll be looking at numbers of issues starting from Lagos State. Police nab 10-year-old for strangling mate to death. Insecurity, Africa, MENA, South Asia, most affected by terrorism. On economy, Nigerian reduced relative support as cost of living increased. From United States, government banned minor from having social media accounts. These are the issues we'll be looking at today. You can join us on all our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X Atlantic TV Net. You can also watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. When we return from this short break, I will introduce my guests for today's show. Just stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network, and joining me on this conversation this afternoon is a lecturer and senior administrative staff at Clifford University, Abia State. I'm talking about Dr. Thompson Okochi. Thank you for joining me on today's show.
Thank you, Immaculate. Thank you, viewer. Good afternoon.
All right, let's look at our first story for today. Meanwhile, happy new month, Dr. Okochi.
Thank you so much. I'm here.
All right, the first story is from Lagos State. A 10-year-old boy has been arrested by the Lagos State Police Command for allegedly strangling his 10-year-old mate to death during a football match. The incident occurred at Oluwale Street power line in Ejibo area. The father of the deceased reported the case to the police, stating that his son, Israel Ogunlele, was playing ball when an argument with the suspect escalated, leading to the tragic incident. The police have confirmed the arrest and they are conducting an investigation into the matter. Dr. Okochi, it's quite unfortunate that something that we have been talking about, adult, is now happening to, minors engaging in this kind of thing. According to the report that we have here, there was an argument during a football match between the minors, and, looking at the years, is actually disturbing. 10-year-old. Engaging in this kind of incident, of course, one would say this wasn't his intention. Fight is something that is inevitable, it's something that can happen at any time. But let's look at the issues. Of course, he is being arrested. But, what is this? What does this entail of him? Let me get your own opinion about this.
Well, the challenge I have is, I don't know, I hope it's clear, this communication is clear. The challenge I have is he's a minor, like you have mentioned. What do we do? I don't know, I wish a lawyer were to be here to advise us. Do you place in custody? Now, we're not minimizing the crime, but should a minor, 10-year-old boy be put in custody? You know, is it a separate confinement, different from hardened criminals that are adults? No. Those are some of the implications and complications that surround this. But as the issue itself, why would the boy, a little boy like that, strangle his mate? I'm suspecting, permit me to say that, please, permit me to say, I'm suspecting that this habit, not that he's strangulating others, but anger issues, temperament management, anger management that has gone all right, but has gone completely out of the way because maybe nobody has taken care of that. The place that they are mentioning is probably a suburb. Nobody really monitors these children. So he just grows up, people just grow up the way they like. And maybe this one too was not properly tamed. And now this is, at this young age, he's a murderer, so to speak. So what happens if he becomes 20 or 30 or 100 years? It's a very sad thing. It's a very sad thing.
About the training aspect, are you saying that parents do no longer give proper attention to their children? Some of them out there exhibiting a kind of attitude that is really not pleasant, and then you try to tell them, you always hear their parents say, no, leave him for me, leave her for me, I know how to handle her, and all of those. Before now, they would say that a child is a community, belongs to the community, not just the parents. But in this society now, a neighbor cannot correct the neighbor's child anymore. What do you think? Are you attaching this to societal influence, or is it that parents do no longer give attention to their children as it should?
Individual families and society. Well, let me deal with the individual family. The literature doesn't clearly tell us if he has parents, but let's assume, and so it's safe to speculate that he has parents. And then, of course, the consequences now will be on them. They will be restless. Their boy is now a mother, so they will now have to reflect on it.
Dr. Okochi,
Dr.
Okochi, let me correct you. These issues here, we have their parents that came up to speak concerning, especially for the disease, all right, that They actually engage in an argument. That's how they got to know these stories, because the parents were there to talk about it and also their friends. So, of course, they have parents. It is 10-year-old boy we're talking about, not 25, not 35, 10 years. So there's every tendency that parents are there. And even if they're not there, they're under someone's watch. So you can continue, please.
I agree with you. It's that the literature skipped specifying the existence of the parents of this boy that's graduated. So I would just say it's all right to assume that he has parents, but we wish the literature had stated that. But now that we believe he has parents, I'm saying the parents will now have to reflect on where they have gone wrong, because this is the kind of things that happen when you neglect training, child training. These are the consequences. They too will be restless, because there's no way police will handle your child without actually picking you up for one thing or the other. So parents must be careful that what they think will not eventually come and affect. Look at now, this boy has killed his mate. Will the parents be at peace? Will the family be at peace? So let us always reason this way, that whatever the children that we have left on their own, just do, but by the time the repercussions come, we who are supposed to be guardians and handlers will face the music. The parents went wrong in this area too. That is that, like I said, that is for the parents. Parental home training, something is wrong, because, like I said, before a boy gets to an angry mode of strangulating his mate, he must have shown signs of this kind of thing at home. What did they do to tame him? What did they do to help him in anger management? If it didn't happen and now it has reached this height, well, we'll all have to bear it. The next one is the society, because you see, we need to be careful how we raise our. Do we have intentional programs for raising children, for finding out their temperaments, and then taming the ones that are going haywire? These are some of the issues that we deal with, but we need to wake up as a nation.
What do you think about having a workshop for the male child, just as it is done for the girl child, because it seems more attention is paid on the female than the male. So what do you think about it? Just from zero to 10, let's put it that way. You see parents giving more attention to the girl child, but when it comes to a boy, they're always, from that moment, they start telling them that this is a man's world, so they can just do anything they want to do. Do you think that's part of it? You see a little boy of 10 years already having unnecessary ego. What do you think about organizing, getting a workshop for them where they talk about mostly the male child?
Exactly. Civil education is for both the girl child and the male child. So let's not feel that the child has an ego. He's a big man. He's a man. It's a male society, chauvinist kind of approach. No. Now this will tell us that we are lacking in our training, in our orientation of the male child. So let it be a composite arrangement, not just the girl child. But it has reminded, what you have said now, Ima, has reminded me of something. What will be happening when children of that age are playing and there are no adults to supervise? See, those are the things I keep complaining about. Don't we have supervisory arrangements in our own country where children are not left alone? I'm not saying the adults must play ball with the children. I'm saying, are there supervisors around? Should they be left alone? And then you're strangulating someone, and then the next thing is that it was the father of the dead boy that is that there was an adult around who tried to separate them and hold the situation under control. We are wrong. Allowing children on their own.
So let's look at the psychological impact. And of course, I grew up hearing leaders of tomorrow, even though it is not looking like the present leaders are ready to make room for the people, the so-called leaders of tomorrow, which are the youth coming up. Do you think this will have a way of affecting him psychologically when he's grown? And again, what about him being fit into the society, and he should be looking at a crime that he has committed at this tender age?
But it's already clear, in our society, unfortunately, but the truth is that, though it's an unfortunate truth, but it's the truth, he will be stigmatized. He will just be stigmatized. if he survives this, he will carry a stigma to have killed on him before. He will help the Bible of Moses. Moses killed an Egyptian. So the next day when he was, another day when he was separating two Israelite brothers, one of them said, "Oh, you want to kill me like you killed." So that's what will happen throughout his life. Somebody will have to be reminded, "Oh, you want to kill me, you want to kill me like you did." So a stigma is unfortunate, but that has happened to him. So what he will need is a lot of rehabilitation efforts. There will be psychologists, there will be medical persons, there will be counselors, there will be guidance, there will be things that can help him cope. Otherwise, if he's left alone, he might even just commit suicide because society will stigmatize him to a point where he will become so depressed, he won't want to live again. He has faulted, and society has a way of slamming constantly on him. And that's the unfortunate truth. So he will do something if he survives it.
Yeah, we know that there are correctional centers for the minors, but what is a implication of putting him behind the bars? We are still talking about the psychological effect here, especially the negative, of course. So what's the implication of putting him behind the bars?
I don't know that. Remember, if you remember him, I mentioned it at the beginning. I wish that his lawyer was here to guide us. Should they put a 10-year-old boy behind bars? So I'm not a professional in that area, so I will not be able to process that properly. But it will not be very fair to put him at that age on bars. No. Let's see what we can do to rehabilitate. That's my personal appeal. And as a sociologist in the region.
When the parent comes out to tell the public that they need justice for their son, what kind of justice do you think can possibly be given here? Is it to get rid of the boy, to put him behind the bars for as long as, or what do you think is going to happen? Because we're talking about minors, 10 years. What do you think will happen?
The law is there. I believe we have extant laws that specify what should be done for somebody of that age. However, the other part of justice could be compensation, because we have lost a future breadwinner, as it were, and these are parents who eventually will be aged. And you know how our culture, we raise our children so that when we grow, we can go. Someone will take care of us. So there should be a large compensation. I'm not saying that the money, don't get me wrong, nobody should get me wrong. I'm not saying that the money is a replacement for life. That's what I'm saying. But compensations, retribution requires compensation. If they give them 50 million naira, 100 million naira, it will quieten a bit of tension. That's what
All right, thank you, Dr. Okochi. And then the second story for today is on insecurity. The Global Terrorism Index 11th edition highlighted that Sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East, and North Africa and South Asia are the most affected region by the terrorism. In 2023, these areas accounted for 94% of all terrorism-related deaths, with Sub-Saharan Africa alone contributing nearly 59% of all deaths. The report notes a shift of the terrorism epicenter from the Middle East to the central Sahel region of Sub-Saharan Africa, where nearly 47% of all the terrorism-related deaths occurred in 2023. This region has seen a dramatic increase in terrorism over the past 15 years. The socio-economic impact of terrorism in Africa is significant, disputing essential services such as healthcare, education, and access to clean water, insecurity and violence resulting in displacement, worsened poverty, and food insecurity affecting already vulnerable populations. Terrorism also hampered economic growth by deterring foreign investment and creating an unstable business environment. The 10 African countries with the highest rate of terrorism according to the Global Terrorism Index are not listed in the provided text, though it's in the report. Dr. Okochi, the 11th edition, of course, you just heard me say that the GTI by the Institute for Economic and Peace revealed that Sub-Saharan Africa MENA and South Asia are significantly more affected by the terrorism, as these three areas accounted for 94% of all the terrorism-related deaths, with Sub-Saharan Africa alone contributing slightly in 2023. What do you think about this report? Is it do you think this is the right statistics? Of course, we have heard what is going on. Looking at if you look at the region, the Sub-Sahara, you will know that a lot is going there at the moment. Before, we're talking about the East. What is your take on this?
Thank you. First of all, I'm not going to argue because it's a waste of effort trying to contest that report. It won't help us. What we should rather be talking of is, what do we do? Because we are involved. I noticed even that you carefully didn't mention Nigeria, but it's good to be bold. Let's just be bold. Nigeria is listed, and the color in there, that heavy red, that shows that ours is very high. It's high. It's high. I mean, the reality is that we are facing it. What we should be discussing should be, what are the causes? What are the precursors? What are the leading factors, bringing us to this? Can't we do better? What is wrong with Nigeria? Those are some of the issues that, for me, and that is why we've been talking about these things on Society Watch. Nigeria is not doing well. All the indices, I see it and I can prove it anywhere because the literature is there, the materials are there, the data are just there. Every indice for development, Nigeria falls short of them. Anything to do with parameters of development, Nigeria is down. This was our problem.
So, Coach, you are saying, Dr. Okochi, you are saying we shouldn't be talking about this, rather the solution. Of course, you first of all have to talk about the problem, and then you will know where the issues is for you to be able to solve. And you say we should look at the factors, but you are hammering on Nigeria is not good, Nigeria is bad, Nigeria is this. That is why we are here to provide solution to this issue. What do you think should be done in terms of insecurity to be able to, if not reduce, completely eradicate this issue of insecurity in the country? That's why we are here. So I'm asking you, what do you think about this report? And again, what do you think should be done to be able to help the security situation in Nigeria?
Like I said, it already tells us it's a wake-up call. That's why I said, to begin with, I'm not going to argue about the report, whether it is correct or not correct. That is already a finished matter. That report is a wake-up call. It tells us that the reality is coming on us. We are living in danger. But the next thing I kept mentioning is we need to study what is the reason, what are the causes, what are the factors responsible for why our own country, Nigeria, is listed there and the coloring is dark red, showing that terrorism and impact is high. Why? Nigerians should be asking ourselves, why? And like you have told me, that you have asked me to say, part of it is, and I've always said this because it's not going to be the 100th time I will say it. It's not going to be the 200th time I will say it. The inequitous distribution of resources in this country. When one person gets 160 million naira to buy an SUV, but the other person can't buy bread or 400 naira, it will create this type of situation. I don't want to go far so that nobody thinks I'm insulting anybody, but the reality is that when you have inequitous distribution of resources, people will definitely want to get their share. Some of them do it differently, so fight will happen. Terrorism will come
in. If you go through this report, you will see that it's not just Nigeria. We have over 10 countries here. That is why I'm still asking you, what do you think should be done? You are here to provide solution and not to criticize Nigeria, not to talk bad on Nigeria. what should be done to help the situation of security in Nigeria? Now, we know that it's not just us, but we are not just talking about, we are not looking at, even though we are here, not just for the Nigerian. But let's start from our home first. What should be done? The government might have a whole lot cloud in their mind, so maybe they feel they have done a lot. They might not know. So it is left for you to be the voice to the voiceless, because a lot of persons have something to say, but maybe they don't have the right channel, they don't have the right medium to actually speak up. I'm asking you, Dr. Okochi, what should be done to provide solution to economic, security situation in Nigeria?
I responded clearly. I said the inequitous distribution of resources is one of the factors. We have to redistribute resources in this country so that we can show equity. I cannot have too much, another person is too much in scarcity. That will create the conditions for terrorism, for tension in the country. If we distribute the resources of this country, that is the first thing to do.
All right, Dr. Okochi, let me just let me say this. Let's look at the issues of palliatives. You know that when it has to do with distribution, a lot of persons find it difficult, that particular thing, find it difficult to get to the right hands. And you are talking about distribution. Issues of distributing things in Nigeria has always been a problem. What is the best way to distribute it? You will not just tell us, let's distribute. How do we do that? What is the best way to handle? What is the best channel to use? So that tomorrow they won't say, this was distributed, it didn't get to me. Or it did not get to the right, the appropriate area where it should. So which is the right medium to carry that out?
Now, let's be factual. Let me be direct, since you want to be clear and direct. I'll just give you something that, and listeners, something that when I finish speaking, it will be very vivid. Make every spot in Nigeria look like Abuja. Yes. Make every spot in Nigeria look like Ikoyi. It can be done. It can be done. Can you imagine a situation where, fortunately, you are around the Mboba Ozoba? Imagine if you turn Mboba Ozoba to Ikoyi. Every part in Nigeria becomes like that. That is what other countries do. Can you think of any part of Britain that is not looking like Britain? Can you think of any part of America that is not looking like America? Can you think of any part of South Korea that is not looking like South Korea? Can you think of any part of Japan? Make every part of Nigeria look like Abuja. Ikoyi, let's start. But what you have is equitous distribution. This person has so much electricity, doesn't have. This one has water, this one doesn't have. This one has this one. That kind of thing is not good. When people get angry because of this distribution disequilibrium, they will begin to fight for their rights. That's the point I'm making.
So, Okochi, are you actually looking at the aspect of equality?
What did you say?
Are you looking at the aspect of equality? When you say we should distribute, this one should have, this one have, and this one doesn't have. Of course, you know that, remember you said once that all fingers are not equal, and a lot of persons have talked about that. Are you saying that if there is equality in our country, that the issue of insecurity is going to be the past?
Very, very easy. Go to the terrorists and find out then why are they doing what they're doing. If someone tells you, I've not been employed, I graduated since 2021, I graduated since 19 this, 19 that, and then some other person who just became a politician, just became a government chairman, is already buying land in Abuja. But someone who graduated 15 years ago doesn't have anything. I mean, they will get angry. Redistribute the resources of this country. Kill the complaints about within Nigerians. Kill that complaints. Nigerians should not be talking of electricity. Nigerians should not be talking of roads. Nigerians should not be talking of education. Nigerians should not be talking of money. Nigerians should be swimming in the wealth that God has given them in this nation, because God has already provided. This mechanism.
Go on the short break. I'd like to hear this from you. We keep talking about the issues of unemployment in Nigeria. If you look at most of these prominent persons that have actually made a name, they employ themselves. So why can't the youth employ themselves? There are so many issues in Nigeria to tackle. Are you, when you're talking about issues of employment, are you talking about the white-collar job? Because somebody can just decide to go by the roadside and start selling firewood, and that's job. And before you know, you employ others. So why do we wait for government to employ us when we can do that ourselves?
Is that what nations are doing to progress firewood? You read something that says that some secondary school students have been able to manufacture a robot. They should go back to sell firewood.
All right, Dr. Okochi. When we return from this short break, we will look at this particular story again. This is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. Don't go nowhere. We return shortly.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-the-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Society Watch on Atlantic Television Network. You can join us on all our social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X Atlantic TV Net. You can also watch us live at this moment, right now, at AtlanticNetwork.tv. And now the rest of our stories. Meanwhile, we still have Dr. Okoche in the studio with us. The economic challenge of Nigeria has led to a decline in the tradition of taking in a young relative to raise them alongside one's own children. Families are struggling to meet their basic needs, making it difficult to accommodate additional members. Many Nigerians are now hesitant to adopt or accommodate close relatives due to financial constraints. This shift is evident in stories like that of Mrs. Amanda Odudu, whose niece returned her daughter after 6 years, citing economic hardship. Similarly, Mr. Okonkoye, Samson's son, was returned to him after 3 years with who was also facing economic difficulties. Even after the dismiss of the husband, a widow had to take back her children from her late husband's sister due to the challenging economic situation. The prevailing sentiment is that only working relatives can be accommodated. Wow. As they are seen as less of burden. Despite these challenges, there is hope and belief in divine intervention to overcome this difficult time. Dr. Okochi, the era where people take in young relatives, raise them along with their children is gradually coming to an end. You know that this was really one of those things that that actually help families, all right? But right now, one is not even sure of 3 square meals. Come to talk of adding another person. A family of 5 at this particular time, especially during this fuel subsidy removal, they're actually struggling to survive. And then adding other family members is a problem. What do you think about this, and how do you think this is actually affecting our country, society today?
I'm glad. I'm very happy. In fact, I praise God you brought up this topic. It is showing clearly what we have been saying, how the economic policies, me to say the draconian, insensitive economic policies of our leaders are creating disruptions in the social relational dynamics in society. I hope you are getting my point. Draconian, insensitive policies of our leaders is now creating a disruption in the relational dynamics in society. Our leaders must know that when they sit down and make choices, these are the consequences and repercussions. If they can relate choices and consequences, they will tread softly and they will tread carefully. But here is just carelessly just remove subsidy, and now look at the effect. Look at the effect.
So how is this affecting the society?
This is not what we just said. Relations who were keeping some of their younger ones to relieve their parents of their heavy financial burdens are returning someone to where somebody that was removed to help to this other person survive. Now you are taking that person back. This other person has started surviving. And so what you just find is total disruption. And let me tell you, when these repercussions, when these consequences come, and we begin to have more criminals, begin to have more 10-year-olds beating up and killing, then we know that has affected society. Let us continue to remove subsidy. Keep sharing the money to politicians. Let us continue to suffer. When society becomes so tense and in violence, we will understand that we are making wrong choices.
Okay, Dr. Okochi, I actually asked that question, how is it affecting the society? Because I know, of course, he stated here that left hands were actually helping the right hand helping the left. I'm talking about relatives here. But now everybody is to your own tent, all is well. All right, it means that it will somehow help the people that felt, okay, I can't do anything on my own, than to stay under someone and eat 3 square meals. But now that it's not happening, don't you think it is a way of helping them to think far, to think beyond where they are, to also let them know that indeed they have something to offer in the society and not just to wait for someone to help them? So that's why I'm asking, how is it affecting? But it seems riding on the negative aspect. How about the positive?
What positive can you get? I don't have a job. My uncle helped me take 2 children because I am suffering. My uncle is now suffering and has returned those children on top of my suffering. So those children and myself, our suffering is escalated, and you are telling me the positive that will come out of it. The positive is to solve what has caused the problem. What has caused the problem recently is the removal of subsidy. Return the price of fuel back to 200 naira. Then let's see what happens next. What are we saying? What are we saying? We cannot be clearing, I've said it over and over, we cannot be clearing the cobweb, but the spider is there, and we are how to rearrange the cobweb. No, kill the spider. That's the cause.
The spider here. All right, now this is it. If you look at it now, people don't just rush into marriage as before. Before now, Dr. Okochi, in your own regime, you can attest with me that men just, they made up their mind to start families, giving birth to 12 children, 14 children. At the end of the day, they will send them out looking for help. But now it is no longer like that. Don't you think that this is somehow helping in controlling the population in our country today?
There is nothing wrong in a population increasing if the population is well managed. China is nearly 2 billion, but they have enough rice to feed themselves. We are rather getting grains. We are only 220 million, but getting grains. Ukraine, that is the war. India is about 1.6 billion, and yet they manage themselves. So what is our own problem? And we are talking of population. Is so bad a thing? Are we higher than Brazil? And yet Brazil has a population of about 260, 70, but they're not complaining. In fact, Brazil has 181,000 megawatts. Nigeria is yet to reach 4,000 megawatts. Who says population is a problem? It is the management of human society that we lack. Let us go back. In fact, let the presidency and all our governors go back to school and learn human management. Simple.
All right, Dr. Okochi, we saw in a report sometime last month where a woman went to steal plantain in order to feed her 9 children. And when she was caught, she actually blamed it on that, on economy, how hard the economy of the country is, that she has to go steal in order to feed her children. Where the husband is a question that needs to be answered. We are still waiting for that. And then we also saw in a situation where a woman took her children to police station and then ran into a moving vehicle, committing suicide because she couldn't take care of those children. And now, that is what I'm saying. Then you see people just give birth. They just want to get married and start producing children when they don't have something tangible doing. And in these days, if it were to be now, looking at the challenges that is going through, there is every tendency that nobody will want to give birth to 9 children knowing that you don't have anything at hand to train them. That is why I'm asking, is there no positivity in this particular story? Is it just a negative aspect you are seeing? Don't you see anything positive about this?
I am not going to discuss that because this woman or this incident you are putting did not happen before the subsidy was removed. So there must be a cost before an effect. Remove the cost. That is the point. Let's not digress. The problem is the moment the subsidy was removed, things went haywire. Ordinary indomie of 200 naira became 700 naira. People could not afford it. Bring back subsidy. The lie that we have been told is that the subsidy money will be used for us. It has not been used. Since it has not been used, return fuel price to 200 naira. First, return cement to 4,000 naira. Return everything to where it has been. You came when the naira was exchanging for the dollar for about 800 or 600. Return us there first. That's what we're saying.
All right, Dr. Okochi, let's look at the last story for today from United States. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a law restricting social media access for minors under 16. Those under 13 cannot open social media accounts, and 14 and 15-year-old need parental consent. The law aimed to address concern about social media's impact on teens, but it raised free speech concern. DeSantis and the lawmakers believe parents need help navigating rising kids in the digital age. The law reflects broader concern about social media's effect on children's mental well-being and development. However, critics worry it is set to precedent for online speech restriction. DeSantis, a prominent of the parental rights, sees the law as part of the broader effort to give parents more control, especially in education. Dr. Okochi, the Florida governor, has actually signed a law restricting social media access for minors under 16 on Monday, as the effective platform on teens to generate rising concern in the United States. That is to say that those 13-year-old and young one will not be able to open social media accounts in the state, and 14 years, according to what they are saying, will need parental consent to use such platforms. Well, you know that there is one thing about social media. We all use different social media platforms, are all there, so we should be able to relate better. You will see a child of 10, because they will ask you, how old are you? Some of them go ahead to put 36 years, 35 years, so you can't possibly say that this one is 10 years. But the person using that media handle is actually a minor. And the U.S. president has passed a law signing in order to be able to restrict this. Will it be very possible to be able to curb this menace over there, even though it's for the well-being of the people and it's actually raised concern? How are they going to manage it when we know that some of the parents, might not really give the maximum attention that, like the governor talked about?
All right. Well, first you now see where there are sane leaders in a society. They are proactive. They are not waiting for damages to happen, then they do damage control. They are already proactive. They are already envisaging a problem, and they are going ahead of the problem. One of my pastors used to say, one step ahead of the devil. You see how societies where leaders have minds, you see how they plan. Ours is that when we wait until there is a damage, then we do damage control. Until there is a flood, then we begin to create drainages. Until there is fire, then we begin to look for extinguishers. Do you see the difference between us and them? This is the time to reset our society, like I keep saying. But unfortunately, if you try this, you have already given us why.
According to him, that the leaders over there are paying more attention to their citizens than the people, us in Nigeria. I don't know how true that is. It is left for you to answer that question. But again, if this law that is being passed comes to reality, what about the learning aspect? It's not just when you are in school that you learn. Most times, parents are not at home, and the children need to use iPad to learn. We are in a technology world, not longer in an analog where you have to use pen and paper. Everything has gone digital. You just have to go online to learn. If they restrict these people we are talking about, we see them. People say they are the second gods because they think. Their thinking is, if you're putting it in 10%, we'll say their thinking is 9%. So how do they control this? Because if you give, I don't know if you have ever given a child tab to do something, they're busy studying. The moment you turn your eye, they're in another, they open another website to do what only God knows what they are doing. How would they be able to control this? Dr. Okochi, if you're still there, I would like to know now why the parents on, why the social media bound giving parents oversight on the matter. Others are not really comfortable because of the learning aspect, the educational aspect. How would they control this? How would they be able to handle it? Dr. Okochi, are you there? Dr. Okochi, can you unmute yourself so we hear you better? Dr. Okochi, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I've unmuted myself.
All right. So I was asking, you know, we know that we are in a technology world now where everything has gone social or gone technological. So these children are learning online, whether the parents are home or not. And even when they return from school, it's not every time the parents will be there watching them. They have something else doing. Are they going to restrict them from studying online until their parents return home? Remember that people are saying these people as next to God, where they think very fast than a normal common person. So if you restrict them from using a particular platform, what is the tendency that they will not open another? Because you're talking about 16 years below, not just children of 10 to 12 years. We are talking about 16. And we have seen 16 years inventing things that we can't possibly imagine. So how are they going to control that?
It may be difficult for us, but in more developed countries, they have all kinds of programs put to dictate who is doing what. They have, it may not be perfect, but they have it. Then also have some of these means of locking. If it is a child, we call it child lock. They have that kind of cognate arrangement on websites where a parent may give his or her device to a child, but lock, because the child says, I am learning online. So you lock those other sites that are meant purely for parents or guardians or adults. But over here in Nigeria, do we even know how to lock? So you just hand over your phone or your mobile device to a child. You don't lock it, but you yourself as an adult don't even know there's something that exists that you can lock. So everybody just does what they like. We need a reorientation in this country. We really need citizenship reorientation. Because these things are possible, but we don't know. And because we are ignorant, the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge.
All right, we hope that other governors will leverage on this. Of course, it looks like a good one. Thank you so much, Dr. Okochi, for joining me on today's show.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, our viewers out there. I am Immaculata Irekana. If you miss out, you can join us on all our social media platforms. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1, X Atlantic TV Net. Watch us live on our website, atlanticnetwork.tv. Remember, that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for joining us and continue to stay connected on ATN Socials till we come here next time. Good afternoon.